Addict named Christopher. I'd like to thank my higher power, who I choose to call Jesus Christ, for allowing me this opportunity to get things right. I just wanted to share real fast where I am. I have an open talk coming up, this month. And an open talk in Narcotics Anonymous is basically just a speaker, a public speaker who will hold the floor for 30 to 40 minutes and share their experiences, strength, and hope. And I have myself an open talk coming up this month. So I've been preparing for it. I'm one of those type of people who, if I have an event coming, if I can prep myself for it in advance, I can give you the best version of myself. I can give you some good quality in preparation. I don't like freestyling or coming off the fly, I can do that, but I prefer preparation. And so I've been preparing from, June? Maybe early May. And I'll be preparing all the way into this month here. And one of my talking points, and, when you put yourself a lecture together or a speech or a sermon, whatever it is, you would want to have talking points, things that you can reach back to. And so one of my talking points, my bulletin board pieces, will be on the notion of, when the old heads told me things like, keep living, and the advice that they gave me is coming full circle now that I'm going into my late 30s. The stuff the old folks told me when I was in my early 20s is coming to life for real for me in my late 30s. This is my second talking point. So I'm going to give this to you guys. Again, I'm an addict named Christopher. Step 10 in our Narcotics Anonymous literature says, often when we ask an old timer what to do, we are amazed at the simplicity of the answer. Often when we ask an old timer what to do, we are amazed at the simplicity of the answer. That's step 10 in our Narcotics Anonymous literature. And the reason why I emphasize is that because when we first come into this program, we're looking for answers. We're looking for help. And who would have thought that the solution to a problem that has been plaguing us our whole lives, who would have thought that a 5-second solution would have been the cure to a 15-year struggle? When I first came into the program, I asked my sponsor, who was maybe in their late 50s at the time. He had 27 years clean at the time, maybe 25. I asked, what's a primary tool I can use to help keep me here? Because in Narcotics Anonymous, we have what's called tools, which are coping mechanisms, therapeutic avenues to help levy us into a better position away from, oncoming attacks from the disease of addiction. So I asked him, what's a tool that I can use to help keep me here? And as addicts, we want the answer now. We want the immediate solution now. Tell us. And I was amazed at the simplicity of the answer. I wasn't actually amazed until later, but when he gave me the answer, I absorbed it immediately because my circumstances were so dire that I was willing to take any solution in. So I asked, what's a primary tool I can use to help keep me here? And he simply said, stay connected. Lord have mercy. And in the program, when we say things like stay connected, that means stay connected to your group, stay connected to your sponsor, stay connected with other recovering addicts. And later, actually, we will translate that into staying connected to your higher power. Stay in alignment. He gave me that almost 6 years ago. I have not put that tool down yet. You know, my higher power pulled me out of the physical rooms for almost 3 years. That's where usually people would fall off at, you know. But I stayed connected. I used phone numbers. You know, people have thousands of phone numbers in their phone and only use maybe one or two. If you are a contact in my phone, I'm using your number. I'm calling you. There is not one contact in my phone that I do not stay connected with, even if it's just a message to say hi. But it's to keep my relationship and my connection fresh with that person. Stay connected, because you never know when you're going to need these people. There's a brother of mine who went on the road maybe a year and a half ago, truck driver. He went on the road, gave up his apartment, and he went on the road. Immediately, the spirit of NA told me, stay connected with him, because where he's going, you know already what it's going to take. So immediately, when he first got out there on the road, the next day, I called him and I told him, we have to stay connected. You are out there. You are not engaged in the rooms physically like you used to. We have to stay connected. And the man is going, and he's still clean, still going on, about to go on 8 years, I believe, still on fire for the program because we stay connected. There's a segment in this second talking point that I have called post-treatment support. And you know, studies coming out of the Substance and Abuse Mental Health Service Administration, that's the SAMHSA, says that those who make a meeting fresh out of treatment increase their recovery program and probability by 60%. And in contrast, those who don't, fresh out of treatment, cut their recovery probability by 60%. I use 60 because that's the median number that all of these, you know, administrations and services were giving in between their probability and percentages. The percentages were ranging between 40, 60, and 70 for good or bad. You know, so if you want to get technical, you can say that, the studies from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration says that those who make a meeting fresh out of treatment increase their recovery program and probability by 40 to 60 to 70%. And in contrast, those who don't fresh out of treatment cut their recovery probability between 40, 50, and 60%, if you want to get technical. So I just used 60 because that's the median number. So make a meeting as soon as you can, as soon as you leave treatment. In this open talk that I have, we will have the women's RRC, that's a treatment center. And that's one of the messages that I'm going to give them. As soon as you get out of treatment, you women haul ass to an NA meeting. Don't stop to pass go. Don't stop to wrinkle the sheets. Don't stop to say hi to this person. Haul ass to an NA meeting. Sit on the front row and tell them my name is such and such and I need help. I need one of those things you call a sponsor. I need something to help get me out of this stage into the age of recovery. That's what making a meeting does fresh out of treatment. Increases your probability. I call this piece the window. These administrations, they give the 30-day window. They give the 30-day window. When you fresh out of treatment, you have a 30-day window to make a meeting before you start chipping into your recovery probability. Some say 90 days. I say a week. I really say 3 days. Fresh out of treatment. Within the first 3 days, haul your ass to an NA meeting. Engage in be proactive and engage your ass in post-treatment support. Again, this is a program of learning, and it's also for those who want it. You have a cliche in the rooms, or a saying in the rooms that says this program is for those who want it, not need it. Well, I can critique that. I agree with the program when it says, I agree with them when they say this is a program of those who want it. But it is for those who need it also. Just a minor critique. And so if you want this, you will take these notes or these suggestions and hold them dear to those friends thou have in thine adoption trial. Bridle them to thine heart with hoops of steel. William Shakespeare. "65 to 70% experience a reoccurrence within the first 90 days. That's why that 90-day window is really dangerous. That's why the whole 30-day piece is really dangerous. According to this Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service, they point out how 65 to 70% of recovering addicts fresh out of treatment experience a reoccurrence within the first 90 days. That reoccurrence is the desire to use again or a relapse. So that's why the 90-day and 30-day piece window are detrimental. No good. Fresh out of treatment, haul your ass to an NA meeting as soon as possible. Another point that I have in this segment is the cliches and the sayings those old folks told me when I was young aren't just cliches to me anymore. The cliches and sayings those old folks told me when I was younger aren't just cliches to me anymore. And I thank God for allowing me to live that long to even see it. This is revolutionary to me. You may not feel this yet, but you will when you keep living. The sayings like keep living. History repeats itself. Because I'm getting older and I'm still in the workforce, I can feel myself losing a step. I'm still young enough to tap into that, reserve and vitality, but now I'm at the age where I have to exercise patience, restraint, and conservatism. So the notion of work smart, not hard, the notion of are you working hard or hardly working, these are no longer cliches to me anymore. I'll be 37 this year, going into my prime. I gave society all of my 20s. I gave the devil my 20s. I gave addiction my 20s, my youth, when in our 20s, according to the financial advisor and image consultant Kevin Samuels, the Godfather, he points out how young men, he emphasizes black men, but he says men in general should be working through their 20s while they have the youth and vitality so that they can relax in their 30s or into their mid 30s, into life, so on. Because in your 20s, you have the youth, you have the regenerative capabilities. You can work all night, play all day, and then go right back to work and not miss a step. I remember those days. But now that I'm getting older, I feel myself losing, the steps, those desires. I can still tap into them. I can still show out. I still tap into it at my job from time to time. And that's why and when I do that, I catch the whole line's eye. People damn near stop to watch how I move. But I don't want to give these institutions that energy anymore. I want to conserve my energy for me now. I'm at that age where my youth is for me now. So the notions of, work smart, not hard, they aren't just cliches to me anymore. Now at my job, I am looking for the smarter and easier way to work. I put my pride in my pocket when someone comes over and say, hey, man, you might be doing this wrong or you might be moving a little too slow. Let me take care of it. I step out of the way. There you go. When people ask you what you doing, you working hard or hardly working. That's not just a cliche to me anymore. These cliches translate to me today in everyday living experiences. The cliche that the old heads would say, keep living, translate to me into one of our cliches that we often spread in Narcotics Anonymous that says, keep coming, don't use. We have cliches in our program in which the following, it's progression, not perfection, right? We have cliches that say no matter what. And then no matter what can translate into, no matter what, don't use. No matter what, don't be the old you. No matter what, You can experience whatever whatever tragedies life throw at you, no matter what. We mustn't use. We don't have to, no matter what. Is a cliche in our program. These are NA cliches that translate into everyday living experiences for me today. We have cliches that say you are only as sick as your secrets. I believe it's step 7 that tells us that these defects grow in the dark and die in the light of exposure when we expose them. Keep your side of the street clean. That's step 8, making amends, getting our ducks in a row. One day at a time, or just for today. All we have is today. I can't completely think about tomorrow. I can't completely stay fixated on the past because all I have is this moment, just for today. Our infamous cliche is 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Lord have mercy. Probably the one that was revolutionary, and I don't even know if the predecessors knew how transformative that it would be for us. The fact that it's never the second, third, fourth, or fifth one that sends us back down that spiral. Again, it's the fact that it's never the third, fourth, or fifth one that sends us back down that spiral, but the first one. That was revolutionary to me, or to NA as a whole. The fact that it's never the second drug use. It's never the third time you go out and gamble. It's never the fourth sex partner you've abused. It's never the fifth time you stole. That sent you back down that addictive behavior, that destructive lifestyle. It was never those ones. But it was the first one that sent you back down that spiral. And we're talking about people in recovery. Some of us who may have some substantial clean time under our belt. And even in our NA literature, we have what's called the second admission. The second admission questions, a member sharing, once I get my life back together, can I go back out and use drugs? This is called the second admission. And we tell each other we can't do that. Let me go to it. Here it is right here. Step 1 says that a second admission must be made before our foundation is complete. If we stop here, we will know only half the truth. We are great ones for manipulating the truth. We say on one hand, yes, I am powerless over my addiction. And on the other hand, when I get my life together, I can handle drugs. Such thoughts and actions led us back to active addiction. It never occurred to us to ask, if we can't control our addiction, how can we control our lives? We felt miserable without drugs and our lives were unmanageable. That's the second admission. So it's never the fourth, fifth, the second, third, fourth, or fifth one that sends us over the edge. It was always the first one. Always. And that was a cheat code for us. And I don't know if the predecessors knew how revolutionary that was for us, and or how it would be, in the grand schema of things. The Holy Spirit gave me a saying today that I'm gonna start using when I hear something profound. I want to say that the higher power set in its vessel when it gave you that one. The higher power occupied its vessel when it gave you that one. Yeah, you were used. The higher power sat down in you and used you and gave you that one. Whenever I hear something revolutionary or profound for the good, that's a cliche. That's a cliche, or that's a term that I'm gonna start coining. The higher power set in its vessel when it gave you that one. It occupied its vessels when it gave these predecessors that revolutionary insight that it's never the second, third, fourth, or fifth one that sends an addict back out into active addiction, but it's always the first one. That's revolutionary. That was a cheat code. And then a fan favorite cliche that was given to me when I was in the program, fresh into it, is one where we say playing the tape through, where we emphasize the need to play the tape through before you make any decisions. Which this one you can use in everyday decisions you make, because it's a cause and effect tool. If I do this, what's going to happen? If I don't do this, what's going to happen? Who's going to come up lacking if I don't do this? If I do that? Matter of fact, because I have done that, let me play the tape through and go back into my memory bank and see what happened when I did that. And if the tape plays in a negative that may have led to your demise, maybe you shouldn't go down that road. That's called playing the tape through, a cliche we have at Narcotics Anonymous. Tradition 12 says that we have heard the phrase principles before personalities so often that it is like a cliche. While we may disagree as individuals, the spiritual principle of anonymity makes us all equal as members of the group. I went back into the archives of our daily meditation, our Just for the Day daily meditation, that went back to October 25th, and it emphasizes Tradition 12, highlighting these cliches, and just that says that just because they are cliches, it doesn't make them any less real or important. People like to brush off cliches from time to time. Oh, here you go, just another good talking, another phrase, another saying. But for me, for an addict like me, these aren't just cliches to me anymore. These cliches and sayings have come to life for me today as I go into my 37th year on this earth, which is why when the old timer says, keep living, I hear him say today, keep coming and don't use. I'm an addict named Christopher. Thank you for allowing me to share.